Let's dive into Nova's training so we can stay consistent at home. Whenever she's doing behaviors that we want to keep seeing, whether that's following our commands or she's just showing us calm behaviors, we want to reinforce and reward that with either praise, petting, or treats. And then with behaviors that we don't want to see, whether that's jumping up on us, not listening to our commands, or she's getting into your son's toys, we want to follow through with our training equipment so we can decrease and discourage those unwanted behaviors we don't want to see. Let's go over Nova's training equipment. This is her prong collar. She's going to wear this whenever she is on a leash. How we take this on and off is we are going to secure one of the links with our left hand. We're going to pull through with our right hand. To put it back together, we're going to pinch this prong and put it through the holes of the other prong. Then when she has this on, the leash is going to attach to the D-ring. That swivels. And how we use this, say she's in the heel command. Heel is that nice loose leash walking on the left side. Say she starts to pull ahead or she's just doing behaviors that we don't want to see in the heel. We're going to say no, marking the incorrect behavior, follow through with a pop of the leash, and then we remind her what command she is doing. So no, pop, heel. And that is going to be how it works with every command. And then of course, whenever she gets back into the position where we want her, we're going to reinforce and reward that with praise, petting, or treats. Now with the remote collar, how we turn this on and off, red dots on both the collar and the remote. Touch these together. This turns on that collar, so that green light flashing means it's on, charged, and ready to go. On and off button on the back of the remote. Push and hold until the screen lights up. You're going to see level 12 appear on the screen. This is Nova's working level when there is not much going on. She does fluctuate a little bit depending on the level of distraction that she has going on, but level 12 works for most of it. Just whenever she gets a little bit more elevated and a lot more is going on, she needs a little bit more, and I'll show you how to change that at the end of the video. Today we're going to focus on the black S button. S just stands for stimulation, so it's kind of like an electric muscle stimulator. Say she is in that heel position. We're going to say no when she does anything that we don't want to see while we're walking with her. And then it's going to be a follow through of the black S button and then heel. No, button, heel. And then depending on the level of distraction you have, you can pair both of these together. You can use one of these. It just depends on the situation that you are in. With the prong, she's going to wear it whenever she's on a leash. So in the beginning, she may have the leash and prong on in the house to set some new boundaries and show her the commands in the house. And we can slowly fade away from using that in the house. With the remote collar, it's first thing that we're going to put on in the morning and then the last thing that we take off at night. So we always have a form of communication with Nova throughout the day. But that is all of her training equipment. Now let's go over her commands. We've already gone over the heel just a little bit. So about 80 to 90% of the walks should be in the heel position. The other 10 to 20%, we can give her that release word free, and that's going to be her time to do her business and enjoy that part of the walk. But for the most part, we want to be in the heel when we're doing the walking. Then sit. Sit means stay as implied until she's given that release word free. This is really good for those door manners, so she can't just bolt through doors. So whether we're inside or outside, we're going to have Nova sit. Sit means stay as implied, so as we're opening the door, she has to sit and stay until we give her that release word free, or we also have the option to heel through the door with her. If she stays, great. If not, we're going to follow through the training equipment so that way we can set the same boundaries that we have here at the facility and transfer them over to the home. And whenever she sits, we want to make sure she's sitting on the first time that we ask and not the last time or the 7th time that we ask. Now we have down. Down means stay as implied as well. When we're practicing the down, we never want to release Nova from a distance because then she will get rewarded for coming to us and not staying in that down stay. So wherever we put Nova, we're always going to go back to her and release her from where she is so we can reward her for staying in the down stay. So when we're practicing the down, we can do a little bit of a distraction. Then when we want to reward as low to the ground as possible so she knows where that positive zone is when she is in the down. And then we can release her from where she is. Now we have place. Place is a boundary stay, ideally on an elevated bed, so that way she understands where that boundary is. When we're practicing this, we're also not going to release her from a distance because then she gets rewarded for coming to us and not staying in that place stay. So when we're practicing this, whether we have people coming over or we're just cooking in the kitchen, we're always going to go back to Nova and release her from where she's at. And when we reward this one, it's going to be on the place bed so she knows that positive zone is the boundary she is on. When you first practice this one, I would suggest having the leash and the prong on in the house so that way you can guide her back to the bed if you need to. And when you first have big distractions coming over, so that way we have a way to maneuver Nova around if we need to. Now we have come when called. Whenever we're practicing this one, I would suggest having a 30 to 50 foot leash on her just in case she decides to get extra distracted. We have a way to communicate with her and reel her back in if we need to. So when practicing this one, we want to give her that release word free, let her go get distracted and doing her own thing, because ideally when we need her to come back to us, it's when she's going to be distracted doing her own thing, not in a sit stay waiting for us to call her. So we'll let her go get distracted doing her own thing. When we call her, we're going to say come in a nice loud firm tone. As she's running to us, we're going to praise her. When she gets into our space, we'll have her sit, and then we can give her the reward. Then if she decides to ignore our command when we ask her, so say we say come, she ignores it, we're going to say no, follow through with the training equipment, we're going to call her again, and then we're going to go right back into praising and have her sit when she gets into our space, and then she's going to get a reward. Because just because we had to follow through the training equipment out there doesn't mean that coming into our space is a negative as well. We are always going to be a positive, which means we are always going to reward this command. So when you're practicing this, always have some treats on you so you can reward her every time she comes back into your space. Now we have leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that. When you're practicing this one, I would suggest having the leash and prong on in the house when you first introduce this, so that way we can move her into different scenarios if we need to. But say you drop something on the floor, I would start out with dog safe foods just in case. Drop it on the floor, say leave it. If she does, great. If not, follow through, and then we can guide her into a different scenario. But that is all of Nova's commands. So we want to reinforce and reward behaviors we want to keep seeing, whether that's calm behaviors or she's just following our commands. We want to reinforce and reward with praise, petting, and treats. And then with behaviors that we don't want to see, like the jumping up or getting into the garbage can, we want to follow through and discourage that behavior with the training equipment. That is all of Nova's commands and equipment. So we're going to watch Nova do all of her commands, and we're going to have fun, stay consistent. Here she is. Down. Good girl. Down. Good. Down. Down. Good. Down. Down. Good girl. Good. Down. Good. Down. Free. Good girl, Nova. Let's dive into the other features of the remote. We've already gone over the black S button and how to go over how to turn it on. Now let's go over how to turn it off. Red dots, we're going to touch these together. This turns off the collar. They do turn on and off separately, so that way she can't accidentally turn them off. On and off button on the back of the remote. Push and hold until the screen goes blank. And now we're going to go over the other buttons on the remote. We've already gone over that black S button. That is going to be whatever number you see on the screen. the red S button underneath of it, this is a boost feature, so her level is 12 right now. It is going to jump it 20 levels to 32. Whatever number you see on the screen, it's going to jump it 20 levels. This is a boost feature, so we can communicate with her when she is doing something dangerous like running into the street or chasing a car. So that way, when she is in that elevated state of mind, we still have a way to communicate with her. Because level 12 reaches about here, but whenever she is chasing a car doing something dangerous, she is up here. So we have an immediate way to communicate with her when she's doing something dangerous. So the red S button is going to be for emergency cases only. On the other side of the remote, we have a T button. This is just a vibrate feature. We like to use this to make sure that the collar is on and ready to go. When she gets a little bit further into her training and she knows what the boundaries are, you can absolutely use it to kind of give her a little bit of a warning to let her know you're kind of pushing the boundary, you need to stop. On the back of the remote, we have an on and off button. That is how you turn it on and off, but it also works as a flashlight feature. So if you press it, it's going to be a flashing light. Press it twice, it's a solid light, and then press it that third time, it turns it off. It's really good if you take her out at night, so that way you can see where she is. On the other side of the on and off button, there's an M/C button. This stands for momentary or continuous. At the beginning of Nova's training, we started out at a very low level on continuous to introduce the color in a very positive way. Then when we get a little bit further into her training, we move over to momentary at a little bit of a higher level. So she's going to stay on momentary for the rest of her training. And then I know I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, but if you notice that level 12 isn't working for Nova, say you guys have a lot of distractions going on and she's not paying attention, you've used it and it doesn't work, or you've used it and you notice that she had too much of a reaction, we are able to change that by holding down on the dial. Once that 1D at the top of the screen starts flashing, we can rotate this to whatever number we need. Level 12 seems to be working for her right now, so I'm going to put it back to 12, and then to lock it into place, we're going to hold down on the dial until that 1D at the top of the screen stops flashing. So that way, when we put it in our pocket, we don't accidentally change the number on the screen. Both the remote and the collar are rechargeable. Charging port on the remote is right underneath the on and off button. And then with the collar, it's right in between the prongs. It does come with a dual charger. It does stay charged for about 2 days if she wears it for 12 to 14-hour days, so you should only have to charge it every other day, depending on how long she wears it during the day. Here's that dual charger. With this collar, it comes with extra prongs. These prongs are longer. Nova has short hair, so she should stay on these shorter prongs. They should not have any problem with making contact, but it does come with longer ones just in case. At the bottom of the box is a manual, so if you have any issues or you just want to know any other features of the remote to change anything over if you need, you absolutely can. Like there is a tone feature on the vibrate feature, so if you don't want the vibrate feature, you can switch it over to a tone if that's something that you want to work with Nova. On the back of the box is the company. It does have a 2-year warranty, so if you have any problems with the remote or collar within the 2 years, you can contact the company and hopefully they can give you sent over a new one or work something out with you. Both the remote and collar are waterproof, so if they get wet, not a big deal. If Nova's going to stay wet for an extended period of time, I would rotate her collar so that way it's not rubbing and irritating one part of her neck too much. That is all of the other features of the remote, so we're going to have fun, stay consistent, and that's everything.